Back in the day clip right there, rock legend Bruce Springsteen has postponed 8 September shows as he seeks treatment for peptic ulcer disease. So what do we know about the disease that's sidelining the boss? Dr. Biddy Das, colorectal surgeon with UT Health and UT Physicians, joining us this morning to explain it all to us. Welcome. Thank you for being here. What is going on with this disease? What is it, and what does it make you feel like?
You know, it's a great question. Peptic ulcer disease used to be extremely common. Now it's much less common. It's one of the big wins for modern medicine. Peptic ulcer disease means that there's an erosion or a sore in the lining of the upper GI tract, so the stomach and the first part of the intestine. And people tend to feel a sensation of upper abdominal pain and then a sudden sensation of fullness. When they eat, they're full very early, or they have a great deal of pain that suddenly gets relieved by putting food on top of that ulcer sometimes.
So that sounds awful. It sounds really painful if you picture a sore inside of you right there. What causes it in the first place?
We believe it's related to acid production, and in the modern era, it's related to a bacteria called H. pylori and people who are using a lot of NSAIDs and anti-inflammatory medications.
Okay, so what can raise your risk of this?
Really, if you're using a lot of chronic NSAIDs, smoking, smoking decreases the mucosal lining. Alcohol use decreases the mucosal lining. Those are the 3 major things. Also, if you had a major illness or a very stressful illness and you're just recovering, you might suddenly start feeling these symptoms, and a lot of the stress that's taken on the total of the body will actually decrease the mucosal surface, making it easier for it to erode.
And is it true that you can get H. pylori for someone else after drinking after them, kissing them?
You know, that's a tough question. We still don't know how it's transmitted. We do know that as we've improved our sanitary conditions over the last 50 years, H. pylori, which used to be the #1 cause, is now going down to the 2nd or 3rd cause, which is impressive.
Well, obviously, when we see someone who's high profile like this, who talks about having it, I think it's so important because we can raise awareness about it in case somebody else is suffering from this. But obviously, it has sidelined him right now. What are the treatment options, and how quickly can that work to turn this around and make somebody feel better?
It's a great question. You know, as I said, it's one of the victories of modern medicine. We can treat peptic ulcer disease by and large with just a single pill called a proton pump inhibitor by decreasing the acid level, and also by appropriate treatment of that bacteria. You can simply eradicate the disease, and people feel better, immediately better in 2 weeks, and then completely better in 4 to 6 weeks.
Does this get worse and just progress into a more severe condition if you just ignore it and just keep thinking, oh, it's going to eventually go away?
Such a great question. Yes, unfortunately, like most things, even though this is such a simple treatment, people who tend to neglect it or don't see their primary doctor or don't see any doctor, this can, unfortunately, these erosions can perforate, create bleeding, even ICU stays or surgical emergencies.
My goodness.
So something as simple as a pill, which has cured this disease and really has been a win for modern medicine, is something everybody should see their doctor about if they're having these symptoms.
Now, once you heal from it, are you at higher risk of it coming back over and over again, or are you probably okay and back to standard risk of anybody else?
Most people are back to standard risk. It's amazing. And again, that's why it's such a big win. But again, if you pick up smoking and alcohol drinking and you're not paying attention, or you don't complete the course of therapy a doctor has recommended for you, unfortunately, the biggest risk is if you don't completely eradicate that bacteria. And also, if you continue taking those anti-inflammatory medications and you're not working with your doctor to figure out alternatives, that's when people tend to recur.
Oh, that's so important to know. Thank you for taking time to come in here this morning, help us out, set us straight on what's going on with this. Good to see you from UT Health Houston and UT Physicians.
Thank you for having me.
Always good to see you here.